Welcome to Peter and Roughie's football show on STV Edinburgh and STV Glasgow. We're here to talk football and the main headlines tonight. John Collins has upset more than a few Premiership managers with some comments he made over the weekend. We'll get the thoughts of our lads on that. And also there's a Dundee derby to look forward to this weekend. And let's not forget, some people have tipped Arsenal to win the Barclays Premier League. They slipped up against West Ham at the weekend, but could a Champions League winner bolster their attack? Just a few other topics I'll be discussing with Alan Rough and Gordon Smith. Delighted to have you guys with us. I really do wish Joe Miller was with us in the studio, because he tipped Arsenal, and it doesn't look as if the Arsenal are anybody's favourites at the moment with the bookies, just due to the fact that they slipped up at the weekend. We'll talk about that, lads, but it was a great weekend in the Scottish Premiership. Certainly enjoyed it. Hearts, their fight back against Dundee put them top of the table, and they certainly were the main talking point at the weekend, Roughie. Yeah, they certainly were. Obviously only saw the highlights, but it looked impressive. A lot of goalmouth action, a lot of chances, a lot of good football as well. The fans get really entertained. Again, it's that penalty kick, handball thing that really, I just don't know where it's going. You know, I was at Partick Thistle yesterday, there was a handball there. And I'd love to know the definitive of when it is actually a stonewall penalty now, because there's so many.
They do argue about it. What happens is, they say if the hand is in an unnatural position or deliberate, it's a penalty. Now, unnatural position, when people are jumping to head a ball and all that, it's not necessarily unnatural position for the arms to be up in the air. But the Celtic one was definitely not, because he was hit him from behind. He wasn't even looking at the instant. The one in the Dundee game I felt was quite harsh too, because I don't think he could have done much about it. Well,
to be fair, I'm looking at the Premiership table, and we've got 3 teams at the top there: Celtic, Aberdeen and Hearts, all on 6 points. Now, I think the general view that annoys people is that Celtic will eventually win the league. But the one thing that really annoyed most managers at the weekend, Roughie, was John Collins. The quote is basically that there's not enough clever enough or quick enough thinkers to prepare Celtic for matches in Europe. And Jackie McNamara, Paul Hartley, Derek McInnes, they all jumped on the bandwagon on this one, criticising John Collins, saying more or less that he was disrespectful with his comments.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. You know, obviously, if you're making any comments, you should make it in your own club rather than sort of pointing it towards the other clubs. And they quite rightly had something to say about it. And maybe John will come out and rectify the statement. But
well, why does he need to if he thinks it?
I can't know, but it just doesn't come. It doesn't look right. It just. If I was a manager of another club, I would have something to say about it as well.
Let me ask you this: does he have a point?
It's not a failing of the other clubs. The other clubs are where they are. You know, unfortunately, Celtic have all the money. Celtic have all the best players. It's always, as we know, it's very hard to compete with them at any level. So I think the clubs do their best. And as the season will prove, I'm sure some of them will be a match for Celtic.
OK, let me ask you then. Does he have a point?
Yes, he does have a point, but I don't think it requires to be said. I think it's maybe one that most people would consider, most people would think about it. Even the managers who are having a go at him would probably have to come out and say, ultimately, yeah, well, we don't have the players that Celtic do have, but we do our best. We're coaching. We're bringing in as good a player we have. I'm really surprised at John Collins. I'd always attribute him with being a bit, smart guy, but I don't think it was required. Derek McInnes, even made the point, he's an assistant manager as well, coming out and saying that. But he has been a manager, he's been a successful manager in the past, but I think he has annoyed people by saying it. I once, between you and me, us, just privately here, I won't say it.
Yeah, well, nobody
will hear about this, will they? I once did an article criticising Martin O'Neill when he was Celtic manager, because he'd said after they'd lost to Juventus one time in a European tie, he said, he summed it up by saying, well, they've got more money than us, that's why they beat us. And I did an article saying, well, that's good, Martin, you don't have to make any statement in Scottish football now other than we've got more money than them, that's why we beat them. You know what I mean? But you can't say things like that. It might be a degree of truth in it. It's correct in terms of saying, well, Juventus were a wealthier club. But to just come out and say that is not the thing to say. And I think you have to give other people credit, and I don't think John Collins should have been saying that. But to a degree now, he's probably going to wind up quite a lot of the opposition.
Well, I was just about to say to you, Roughie, if you're a manager, you just basically get the newspaper, you pin it to the top of the dressing room, and when you're ready to play Celtic, you go.
Yeah, obviously you get your players fired up for it, so it means the next time that Celtic, and it's not too far away, they've got a big game with Malmo, whoever they're playing just before that game, I'm sure they'll be up for it, and whether he likes it or not, there will be players who will react to that kind of statement.
Yep, absolutely. Of the other results over the weekend, guys, I mean, Celtic, we've discussed, you were at the game. Rogic is another man who suddenly has given Ronnie Deila another little problem, a guy on form and maybe the forgotten man of Celtic.
Yeah, he certainly took his goal well, there's no doubt about that. Although throughout the game, I think he's still finding his way. I think the disappointment of not working the first time and going away and then coming back again, I still think he's got to prove himself. But it's another midfield player for Celtic, and Celtic were, and I would say, I don't know what gear they were in yesterday, but if they have got another 2 or 3 gears, then they will get a lot better. Van Dijk absolutely strolled through the game. I bumped into Gordon Strachan after the game, and he summed it up as only Gordon can when he said Van Dijk. He says it was like watching a player in an under-18 team playing the under-12s.
Well, to be fair, I can understand where he's coming from, Gordon, because the last thing you want to see is a centre half with a nutmeg on the byline. I mean, honestly, it was audacious to say the least.
It was a great bit of skill. The only thing it lacked was putting the ball across for somebody else maybe to score there. We had a shot from a tight angle, didn't we?
To be honest with you, I think you're being hypercritical. I mean, I would have gone home, Roughie, and just said, you should have seen my Meg today. Forget about the goal.
It was brilliant, but he probably could have curled it into the back post. But he strikes a ball well anyway, because he hit the post with a long shot too, didn't he? But as I say, I think Celtic were cruising it. I mean, I think Ronnie Deila had a little bit of a go at them because they shut off, didn't they?
They had one shot in the second half. But although Partick Thistle were better in the second half once they introduced the substitutes that come on and were trying to impress, obviously. But they didn't create much at all.
Well, listen, they got the points. Also, of the other 2 teams that we spotted at the table there at the top with them, Aberdeen and Hearts. Juanma Delgado has got a double. He got the penalty, scored a nice goal to seal the victory as well. He could be one of those emerging players. We've talked about the fact that they're signing a few foreign players. Yeah.
Absolutely, he's somebody who has come in that they are signing foreign players, but he's off to a great start already. 3 goals, obviously got the penalty, which we've discussed already, a little bit harsh, but it got Hearts back in the game. But they're looking for somebody that can put the ball in the net on a regular basis, because we've said it before, that's the key factor if you're going to do it. That's why I think Dundee, although Dundee ended up losing the game, I think that's why Dundee will be a top 6 side this season, because they've got people that can score goals. They've got the likes of Hemmings there, and obviously Stewart's there, and Loy was unfit. So Hearts needed to get somebody in, and I think he looks like they could have got the right man.
Yeah, and we will talk about their neighbours in the Championship slipping up against Dumbarton in the next part of the programme, Roughie. But Aberdeen, 2-0 win over Kilmarnock. Again, a penalty decision. Adam Rooney, I don't think there's any doubt about Willow Flood being fouled, but Adam Rooney steps up to pop that into the back of the net, and they go on to be comfortable winners in the end.
Yeah, and they look comfortable. That's the main thing. Again, they're not winning 3-0, 4-0. They're winning games comfortably. And the wee guy we talked about, the wee boy Hayes, now playing in a central role. I mean, he went through 3 tackles that he shouldn't have went through before Shinnie got his goal. So he's a big player for them as well. But I think that they've still got 3 or 4 players who haven't really set the head of the light yet. I think they're playing as a team, but there are got individuals in there who haven't really kicked on.
I know Shinnie was back at left back as well, which is a bit of a change, because they have been playing him so far in the midfield. But he's back. But I think the games I've seen recently, I think Hayes has been outstanding, and I even think Willow Flood has captured a position there too. He's playing with loads of energy and looking very good at the moment.
Yeah, well, if there's one game I'm looking forward to tomorrow night, I'll be making that journey up to Tannadice, Dundee United against Dundee. Bragging rights in this city. It's the be-all and end-all, and United got a confidence-boosting win, albeit through an own goal to start them, set them on their way, Roughie.
Yeah, they did. That game could have went either way. Motherwell had a few chances, a few good chances. The Dundee United goalkeeper sort of rectified himself a wee bit with the poor performance he had. He had some excellent saves to keep his side in the game. Dundee United get the wee break with the own goal. The second one looked a bit of a farce. It looked as if everybody was up the park and it was the goalkeeper trying to get back. So, no, Jackie McNamara will take it. We've all been sitting here saying it's been tough times for them up there. So, any kind of win at all just to kick your season off.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think Tannadice will not be for the faint-hearted. Jackie McNamara against Paul Hartley. And I think that will be as near to a full house as you could possibly wish for. Coming up in the next part of the programme, we'll talk about Hibs and slipping up against Dumbarton. We'll look at the Championship and we'll also look at the Barclays Premier League as well. Welcome back to Peter and Roughie's Football Show, Monday to Friday at 6:30 on STV Edinburgh and STV Glasgow. Alan Rough and Gordon Smith are with me. We were looking back at the weekend fixtures. Of course, on the Friday night, Roughie, I was there at Ibrox watching Rangers win by 3-1 in the end. Well impressed with the effort and the way they're starting to play under Mark Warburton. I think, as he mentioned, it's very much a work in progress.
Yeah, it certainly has, but I'm sure the supporters will be happy with what they see. They're playing a different style of football from last year. They're getting the success from it. There's no doubt about that. I don't know what he's done with Templeton. You know, we saw him on numerous occasions last year. The boy looks as if he's got his confidence back. He's a tricky wee player. You know, he's always somebody that's good to be on the ball. But there's a long way to go there yet. But you're right. You know, was it 50,000 people there? 49, 50,000. That's what Scottish football needs. They need clubs with their kind of attendances. Yeah,
and let's be brutal about it. What it doesn't need is, and no disrespect to Steve Aitken, we've had him on the programme, and don't take this the wrong way, Steve, but when you're talking about Hibs pushing Rangers all the way, you can't lose to Dumbarton. I'm sorry.
No, exactly. That was a shocking result. A surprise to a degree. I mean, Hibs surprised us by losing comfortably to Rangers in the first game. Yeah, that has to be said in the Petrofac Cup. But yeah, looking at it, you're thinking, surely they'll go there and pick up the points. Hibs are going to be the challenging team, and all of a sudden they find themselves well down the league. I mean, it's one game, obviously, but the fact is that to lose to Dumbarton, that's not where you think Hibs are going to be struggling against. You would look at it, as you say, no disrespect to Dumbarton, but you're thinking games ahead, and then, I mean, Hibs' next game is Morton at home. Then they've got the likes of Wraith coming up and Rangers in the league. So you're looking at teams like that saying, well, in Falkirk, Queen of South, they're going to be the harder games, you'd assume.
Yeah.
So that's a bad one to lose points so early.
I've got to be honest with you, Roughie, on this one. It is about mentality. It's about being able to go and force yourself on these teams, and they just weren't able to do it.
No, and it's been like that, unfortunately, for the last couple of years. You know, we've witnessed it quite a lot as well, you know, and I'm sure Alan Stubbs has witnessed it, and he'll be scratching his head. You know, there are a lot, not particularly that game at the weekend where they were on top, but a lot of games last year, I'm sure if you took a step back and looked at a lot of the games they played in, you know, games that they should have won and points that they lost. And if it continues again in this vein, they will be in trouble.
Yeah, but they did finish second last year, Roughie. I think that's why the expectation level has increased. Hibs fans want to see them. You know, they actually believe, a number of Hibs fans that I've been speaking to thinking, you know, we've got a settled side. Mark Warburton's building his side. Surely, you know, we should be able to give Rangers a run for their money. That's what they're saying. Yeah,
well, I think everybody has come to the agreement that Hibs will be second. I think we all agreed with that, you know, but as far as Alan Stubbs is concerned, you know, he'll be hoping that they can go on some kind of winning run, because if they continue like that, he's trying to bring all the supporters on board, and results like that the weekend won't.
Yep, Queen of the South, good win against Alloa. I think James Fowler will have them up there again this season. Yeah,
I think that they will be fighting. My worry for Queen of the South was they lost 2 or 3 players in the summer. Good players, first team players that were stars basically, and I wondered if they could cope with that, but he seems to have got them going, albeit I think Alloa will be down, they'll be a relegation battle team, I think, Alloa, so for Queen South to beat them. But I think that we've got a pretty even division this year. If Rangers can step it up the way the Rangers are building, you made a good point there that it's not a complete Rangers team yet, but they seem to be building getting stronger, and if they win, if they start putting together a winning run, then you think Rangers might be out on top. But other than that, I think there's going to be a real close battle for these other championship playoff places between like Hibs and Wraith and Falkirk, Morton and Queen of the South.
Yeah, it's early days, Roughie. Let's not, write people off too early. But I certainly am looking at the table in League One. Dunfermline, Albion Rovers, Stranraer, Forfar, the usual culprits are all up there. I think Dunfermline, the general view is they'll be the team to catch.
Yeah, well, obviously the weekend results impressive. You know, if you pick up the papers and look at that, first thing you say is they must be getting it right. But I think that could be the most competitive league of the season. I think Dunfermline might edge away, but I think a lot of the clubs, the Forfars and all that, will be there or thereabouts.
Yeah. I liked Alan Johnson. He wasn't happy. Wasn't happy with the performance. He won 6-1 away from home. You think you'd be reasonably happy with that, but he said he wasn't. Yeah,
well, sometimes I've been in Alan's company, and he's the happiest guy you've ever seen in your life, but he just hasn't told his face off. He keeps it deadpan, keeps a check on those emotions. I think
there would be a wee smile. 6-1 away from home, there would be a wee smile coming out there somewhere.
Absolutely. Listen, I'm looking here at a number of things, and this is where in Scottish football we get slightly envious. Xherdan Shaqiri could be signing for Stoke. Karim Benzema could be on his way to Arsenal. I mean, there's just big name after big name. Chelsea look as if they're going to go back in for John Stone. Suddenly you're thinking that the money down there is unbelievable. They are awash with cash. And Benzema, I think, could be a welcome addition. Joe Miller thinks Arsenal will win the Premier League. They lost to West Ham at the weekend, Roughie.
Yeah, it was a bad one for them. And it's just like Hibs, losing at Dumbarton. That's a result you never saw coming. And but I'm sure they've got quality there. That will just be a small mistake for them. But the quality they've got to turn that round.
It's amazing them losing Roughie just a week after beating Chelsea in the playoffs for
the Charity Shield.
That just shows how competitive that league is.
I know.
It shows you the players have quality that even like West Ham have got. And that's just why it's such a good league.
Well, Roughie, I mean, Crystal Palace have got Johan Kabaya. I mean, that gives you an indication of the strength of the league as well. But I just looked at it and I thought to myself, wow, losing to West Ham after people are tipping them to chase Chelsea. And of course, you being a goalkeeper, you really would have appreciated Petr Cech just trying to get there as soon as he could, as quick as possible for that cross ball.
Yeah, but as a goalkeeper in a new club, you want to start off the season properly. Obviously, these goals, he'll hold his hands up and say, yeah. But he'll be better than that. I mean, I think they said Chelsea said he saves them 10 points. Well, you can deduct that 3 for Saturday. You'll have to make it up somewhere else.
He's now got 13 to save.
Yeah, absolutely. The small matter of European football next week, but Malmo were in action at the weekend, Gordon. There's no doubt Celtic will have had a look at them. They got that win against the top of the table of the Swedish league, Gothenburg.
Yeah, they did. They won 2-1. And a big crowd they got. I mean, they got over 20,000. They don't normally get that at their games, but this is against the league leaders. And I suppose it has to be considered a good win. 1-2-1, and they only stepped up a place, but there's nothing in the Swedish league at the moment. There's only, I think it's 4 points separating the top 5 teams. So they're still in with a chance going for the championship. But I think that they'll be happy to get a result, especially with the big games coming up. And as I say, one of my contacts has told me, they said that Malmo are actually very, very happy to have got Celtic. Yeah. They said that they really do fancy they can beat Celtic.
See, that's the great thing about it, Roughie. I knew Gordon would actually start to fight back after Alec Ray came on the programme and had contacts all over Europe. And I thought, there's no way Gordon's going to suffer somebody actually having little tentacles across Europe more than he does. And he's fighting back with... Yeah. So do you know anybody from Sweden, Roughie?
No, I've been in Sweden for a while.
You know any guys in Sweden?
Yeah.
No, I haven't. I think the nearest I've been to Sweden was in the steam room the other day.
Yeah, absolutely. Why did I think that was coming? Just before we go, guys, I've got to mention that Keith Lasley's having a testimonial. It's the 5th of September against Bolton Wanderers. So I hope that he gets a huge turnout for it, because he's been a wonderful servant in 2 spells at Motherwell, Roughie.
Oh, it's been immense. When you see testimonials coming round, people like Keith Lasley that should get them. There's a lot of players have not put any kind of shift in that he has at clubs and got testimonials. I agree with you 100%. I really do hope the Motherwell support get behind that one. We touched on the testimonial for the goalkeeper up in Aberdeen. I think he got 3,000.
Yeah, Jamie Langfield.
Poor. I wouldn't like to think that would happen to somebody like Keith Lasley.
I think it will turn out for Keith Lasley. I think he's been a favourite. He's done a great job for the club. The sad thing might be that there's moves at the moment in the Treasury down south to try and tax testimonial games.
Yeah.
That's a move that's happening at the moment.
Before the 5th of September?
Well, yes. They might just backdate it.
What were you thinking, Roughie?
I'm hoping that wasn't that boy in Sweden that told him that.
That was the Prime Minister told me.
No, I genuinely do.
Cameron told me.
That's the type of thing Alex Ray was doing. Name drop after name drop was top drawer. I actually do hope the Motherwell fans. I think if you're a football fan, you can appreciate good players, and it's not as if he's on the way and he's going down the way in his performances. Keith Lasley's been performing, Roughie.
Yeah, he has. I mean, he's the main man. You know, he epitomised everything you want in a player.
Yeah.
You know, but there was one particular game, was at Aberdeen.
Yeah.
I think he covered every blade of grass. I think he actually, at one stage, he picked the ball up for the goalkeeper, a couple of passes, he was in midfield, and then all of a sudden, another couple of passes, and he was up in the other.
Yeah. Unbelievable, unbelievable, and still holding his looks as well and his weight. Wouldn't it make you sick? Anyway, if you get a chance, 5th of September, get it in your diary. Motherwell against Bolton Wanderers for a worthwhile testimonial for Keith Lasley. That's just about it. Run out of time. Thanks to Gordon, Roughie, and myself for watching. Join us tomorrow if you can.